¿Qué pasa, chavales? ¿Todo bien? ¿Todo...? No, a ver. Vale. A ver, esto es una prueba de un juego que entiendo que es muy interesante y que a lo mejor te pueda gustar a ti también. Así que, bueno, como sé que ahora tienes más tiempo libre y estamos lejos y no podemos hacer cosas juntos, pues a lo mejor te apetece redescubrir este juego como si lo estuviéramos jugando juntos. Así que se me ha ocurrido hacer esta serie. Yo, que no sé hablar, yo, que no sé expresarme, pero bueno, vas a ver mi primera reacción con este juego y vamos a vivirla juntos. En la medida de lo posible. Así que, bueno, vamos a ver. ¿Qué tal? ¡Qué nervios, qué nervios!
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-winning, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Vale, pues ya llevo a... soy invisible. Ya llevo al señor. ¿Y qué tengo que hacer? ¿Qué sensible es esto?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
¿Meeting room? Venga, pues. Habrá que ir a la sala de reuniones. ¿Te vas a cerrar? Está muy sensible, ¿eh? A ver, opciones. No, tecla de ratón. Tecla de ratón. Aquí cantidad de aceleración. Menos. Peor. Jesus. Vale. Hostias. Bueno. Estos son los problemas del directo, ¿sabes? Que cantidad de aceleración. Nada, esto desactivado. Y sensibilidad de ratón un poquito menos. Ahora. Parece que mejor. Yo estoy caminando, pero no sé para dónde. Esto es la oficina, imagino, así que...
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Se cierran aquí las puertas, me da un poco de mal rollo esto. Juro que este juego no es de miedo, ¿eh?
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Vale. Cierran la puerta detrás mía para que... Ajá. Se me ha dicho que tengo que ir para arriba, ¿no?
Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Venga, vamos. Fácil, de momento el juego es fácil. Madre mía, el jefe, chaval. ¿Qué es esto? ¿Aquí? Ah, baño ejecutivo. Flipo. Tío, ¿pero qué es esto? No hay ni Peter aquí. Madre.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
O sea, ¿cómo? Me está dictando... Espera, se me ha olvidado. 2845, ¿no? Se me olvida,
Stanley sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
Me está vacilando, ¿verdad? ¿Dónde está? ¿Aquí, en esto?
2845.
Ah, aquí. 2845.
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Estoy flipando. Uy, vale. Me creía que era un cadáver, ¿sabes? Pero no. ¿Qué es esto, tú? Está súper guay esto, ¿eh? Pues para abajo iremos. A ver qué se cuece aquí.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Madre mía. ¿Puedo subir? Suena el botón de que lo estoy pulsando, vale, nada. Hola. O sea, vale, o sea.
Walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
O sea, empiezo la empresa. Estoy totalmente solo. No hay ni Dios. Y me estoy metiendo en el centro de... Bueno, esto es como la típica película de mierda. Bueno.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens.
Dios.
What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each
No estoy yo,
bore the number
4,
of an employee in the building,
427, esa es la mía.
Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Brutal, ¿eh? ¿Cuántas teles, chaval? ¿Cuánto dinero se tiene que haber gastado en esto? Lo guapo que se vería aquí un partido de fútbol, ¿eh? Hostias. Ah, mira, te ponen los que están despedidos ahí. Fire. Fire. Pues nada.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Me mola, ¿eh? El narrador. Está guay.
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Sí, todo eso me parece muy bien, pero ¿cómo lo hago? No puedo tocar nada. Mira, el botón rojo. No me deja tocar el botón rojo. 5. Bien, 5. Awaiting input. Input. System power. Vamos a encender.
He found the source of the room's power. He knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
¿Que le te voy a dar a apagar? Jesus Christ. No estaba yo preparado para ese susto.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel.
Yes.
Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
¿Estamos listos?
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Yeah, boy. Hola, pues ya está. Ya me lo he pasado. Esto es todo. Así que nada. Espero que te haya gustado el juego y ha terminado aquí.